Hello everybody and welcome back to the Overlap Breakdown channel. I'm here today to discuss if Liverpool's regression under Arne Slot is totally his fault and if it's a prerequisite of his poor tactics this season. And yeah, I think, to be honest, overall, I've got a lot to say on Liverpool. This is going to be a very, very cut-edge piece. It's going to hit hard for some Liverpool fans, but over the past few weeks, I've been watching Liverpool and I've watched the vast majority of pretty much every game this season now in totality, and I am not impressed. I'm really not impressed with what Liverpool are doing. And there is a conversation being had around whether it's Arne Slot's fault, whether it's a recruitment individual. And I will go into everything today. I'm going to try and do my absolute best to cover every single angle of the argument. And there's one key stat that obviously come out after the Brighton game was the running. Now, I actually sourced every single game for Liverpool's running in the Premier League this season. And on your screen right now, I have got every single one of them games. So I've colour-coded it so that orange is obviously level in terms of distance run and time spent walking, percentage-wise. The green is obviously Liverpool having more, and red is Liverpool being outrun or lesser time walks, etc. Now, I want to tell you that in these games, Liverpool have only outran two of their oppositions. One of them was against Spurs when they got a man sent off after 33 minutes, and the other one was Burnley at the start of the season when they won with 1-0 right at the very end with a penalty. Now, disclaimer, this distance walking and kilometres covered and all that sort of stuff, that is obviously that is because of their possession, some of it. Chelsea, for example, have been outrunning every single Premier League game this season. Sometimes running doesn't indicate towards performance, doesn't indicate that you're being outplayed. The problem is, we're talking about Liverpool Football Club. And even more of a problem is that when I throw this back up on your screen right now, the teams like Arsenal have outrun Liverpool 16 kilometres across the two games they played. Man City, 14 kilometres across two different games. That's not good enough. That is not good enough for a Liverpool team, a title-winning Liverpool team, and a team that has been built off the intensity factor, off the factor that we run harder than anyone, we tackle harder than everyone, we get up for everything, and it's getting worse. It's getting much worse. So I've even got, in their first 15 games, they were outran per average of 3.2 kilometres per game. In their last 16 games, and this is factoring in that game where Liverpool were up against 10 men for 60 minutes, they are being outran by 4 kilometres a game now per average. So it's getting worse. As the games have obviously totaled up for Liverpool, they're playing more games in knockout competitions, they've had more injuries. Yes, I do understand that, but it's getting worse. And for me, this is why I'm really worried for Liverpool, to be honest. I'm really worried because I am going to talk a little bit about some of the structural stuff that Arne Slot is implementing to Liverpool that I don't think is working. But I also think the recruitment hold a lot of blame here. I really do. And I think they tried to... I was one person who sat here at the end of the transfer window going, Liverpool have signed phenomenal players. I don't see how they just don't kick on this season, have a good season. But it looks really bad now, and Liverpool have built so much respect in the market over the last few years for doing what they do in terms of the smart buying, in terms of not having luxury players, in terms of buying players who always run, they always cover, they always work for each other. That is not what Liverpool is right now. It's the complete opposite. They have moved away from that identity. And whilst they've moved away from that identity off the pitch in terms of the way they've acted in the market, they have also moved away from their on-pitch identity, which for me is hard-running, hard-working football. And I will touch the board in a minute. I have got loads of examples, but I want to really hit home as to why it's getting worse. And I'm not talking about a short period of time here. And I do understand Liverpool won the league last season. I thought Arne Slot adapted to the squad beautifully, platformed Mohamed Salah beautifully. We've got a segment coming up in a minute to tell you just how good Salah was that season and how much he carried them. And that was down to Slot profiling him in a way to maximise him. But we're talking about a marathon, not a sprint here, and quite literally. If I show you Liverpool's high turnovers since the start of the 21-22 season, and this is a rolling average from Opta, we can see that this graph, trajectory, where's it going? Down. Liverpool, high pressures applied in the opposition's half. Trajectory, where's it going? Down. Liverpool, high pressures applied. Trajectory, where's it going? Down. And last but not least, Liverpool percentage of opposition touches under high pressure. Think of Liverpool in your head, what Liverpool is. Where is it? It is way down, especially that rolling average just towards the end. way down. It's not even close. And for me, this is where it becomes a problem, because this is now becoming a shift in identity. They are trying to shift the identity for me. If I show you here, I've got Liverpool per game across the last 4 seasons. We can see that this season is the lowest goals per 90, expected goals per 90, shots per 90, conversion rate's the lowest, touches in the opposition box is the lowest, big chances is the lowest, build-up goals is the lowest, direct attacks, lowest, direct attack goals, lowest. That for me is where Liverpool have now almost ripped it up and tried to do something else, and that something else isn't what I associate with Liverpool. And this is why I'm trying to channel me Liverpool fan as much as it pains me. I'm trying to channel it because for me, if I built a club and built a team, a winning team, and I know it needed a reset, and Arne Slot was a reset in terms of what he was doing. And he got loads of praise, rightly so, for adapting around his squad, for making more rest time on the ball. But now, I don't really see how this Liverpool team makes that jump very swiftly to another style of play. And there's a lot of talk about Xabi Alonso in the market, and maybe he can fix it. Maybe he would improve things. I do think out of possession, I do appreciate his ideas a little bit better. But the individuals here that they've bought aren't great. They're not great in terms of what they bring to the team, in terms of the collective makeup, in terms of the conundrum they've got now with the centre-forward position. And they have adapted under Arne Slot to go into more of a diamond, especially off the ball. Now, this is where, for me, I have to cut through everything with Arne Slot. And even though I've defended him a lot so far in the start of the video, I am now going to go in to talking about why, for me, it's not working. It's not working. And I don't think it's looking like it's going to work. And they have played very easy games over the last 10 games in the Premier League. They've played Leeds twice. They've played Burnley. They've played Forest. They have had easy games. They played Wolves, lost that game. They've had really easy games. And even though that run's been easier, it's still not good performance-wise. So, on your screen right now, I'm going to show you a picture of Liverpool's zonal block against Brighton. And I'm going to leave this screenshot up on your screen, and I'm sorry that the Brighton sun was a little bit too sunny in this picture because you can only see half the pitch, really. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this picture now, and I'm going to turn it onto the board, and I'm going to explain what Brighton were doing against Liverpool. Liverpool are pressing in a diamond in this picture, which is a recent-ish tweak from Arne Slot to put 2 up, stop the progression from the centre-halves, compact the midfield out with 2 in here, and then it looks a little bit like this. This is how it looks, okay? This is what Liverpool are doing right here. Now, already, you can probably see where the problem is. And the problem is if these players are moving here, because Liverpool's shape and because their instruction is zonal, if a team rotates in the middle of the park, like Brighton do, and I've got loads more examples to show you, the zonal aspect of this team is to cover space. So that means when a team starts rotating in the middle, they are covering and blocking off space. They are not covering free balls out here. Fullbacks pin back. Say Szoboszlai's here, or I think it might be McAllister in this game. His job is to cover both of these players and potentially this player. There's that much going on around him. Ibrahim Konate and Van Dijk, they are not man-to-man instructed. So that player is not going to step out here if the ball's pushed back and they want to jump up in the press. That doesn't really happen. I've seen Slot do it a couple of times. Villa at home was the one game I watched where they did do it and they won that game. But there is being so much asked of these players like Alexis McAllister who are not physical first, elite intensity players. And they are being asked to cover a wide range of space in the block. So given what I've just said, here we go. Ball is shifted out. Where does the ball end up at? At the right side of Brighton's build-up. And we can already see on this screenshot here, if you look at the back line in this picture, I want you to look at it very closely. We've got the right back on the left winger. We've got 2 centre-halves looking after a striker. We've got the left back looking after the one inside. And then we've got someone in the midfield pulling over. So what you actually end up with is a situation like this, where like this, okay? Do this correctly. There we go. Right. So because Liverpool are going 2v1 at the back right here, the man who stood in this left central midfield position has to come out and track this. Realistically, I'm not saying this is what every team should do, but this is how, in my opinion, Liverpool of old have played. What they should do is filter it out. So Szoboszlai and McAllister can stay in midfield, but then we all go with our man like that. That's what Liverpool historically do. They get ball pressure and they apply pressure on the ball carrier. They jump out and they stop it. They don't do that. In that screenshot, again, we can see +1. They're covering the space. But look at the gap between the midfield and defensive lines now for Liverpool. That is incredibly poor. Brighton manoeuvre the ball through the midfield, cut across it horizontally, and it's a brilliant shot at 1-1 that Mamardashvili saves. And that is just where the problems start for Liverpool. That is where they start. So now I'm going to move on into Liverpool's goalkeeper kick high press. And I'm going to set this on the board. I'm going to cut away for a minute. I'm actually going to cut away because it's going to take me a long time to rearrange it. But I'm going to show you now what they were doing when Brighton had a goal kick. This segment is brought to you by Microsoft Copilot as part of a partnership with the Premier League. We are now going to look at Mohamed Salah and sort of look back on his legacy that he's now going to leave the Premier League with after formally announcing his decision to leave Liverpool at the end of the season. And to do this, we are going to use the Premier League companion. So if we just have a look and we ask Premier League companion, give us some of Mohamed Salah's best records that he holds in the Premier League. And we can see it gives us back most left-footed goals in the Premier League, most most Golden Boot awards, most goals plus assists combined in a season, most Premier League away goals in a season, tied, most Premier League Player of the Month awards, tied, most Premier League Player of the Season awards, tied, and goal of the season winner in 21-22. And I think when I look back on Mohamed Salah, I look back as one of the best individuals that the Premier League has seen in terms of an output and efficiency level. And we often have this conversation with me and my mates when we go into big games as Manchester United fans. We always talk about who are the few players you've ever feared coming up against. And Sergio Aguero was one in the Manchester derby, David Silva a little bit, De Bruyne a little bit as well. But Mohamed Salah became a player in Premier League history against Manchester United that I was petrified of. And he actually has 7 goals scored at Old Trafford in the Premier League since 2020, which is the same amount as Rasmus Højlund and Alejandro Garnacho in the Premier League at Old Trafford, which is absolutely insane. He's 1 goal behind Casemiro in the Premier League at Old Trafford in terms of goals scored. And he's an absolute freak of nature. And I think, more importantly, last season, what he managed to do for that Liverpool team in this piece that we're now talking about, how he managed to completely push that team into a title is ridiculous. And if we're talking about one-man carry jobs and the impact of an individual and how big you stand up in moments, Mohamed Salah, for me, is one of the best I've ever seen in the Premier League at doing so. And I think he is, without a doubt, one of the best, if not, well, probably not for me, but I think he is one of the best wingers in the Premier League that I've ever seen. And I would probably put him in an all-time 11. The amount of efficiency throughout his career at Liverpool is just insane. And I think, obviously, he's now seen a drop-off in his data going from last season to this season. So when we ask the Premier League companion, can we compare Salah's stats 90 minutes between this season and last season? So we can see that last season he had 0.77 goals per 90 alongside a 0.48 assists per 90, which obviously puts him above a goal involvement a game by a country mile. Yeah, an absolute wonderful player, one that I'm not sad to see leave the league as a Man United fan. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal player. 30 seasons of data, all at your fingertips. From every moment that makes you a fan, from your club's history to your favourite players, go to the Premier League companion powered by Copilot in the Premier League app. Okay, now I've rearranged the board to talk about what Brighton were doing in their goalkeeper kick. So we can see that Brighton are set up in that 4-4-2 with the 2 centre forwards dropping a little bit off the centre line, giving no one to press from the from the centre halves. So I'll show you the picture on your screen right now. This is what it looks like. Now, if I rearrange it just a little bit, what's happening is there's a little bit of a shift across the back line, and Frimpong is stood in between these 2 players. Remember what I said before when we were talking about McAllister managing 2 players because there's more of a zonal approach. Now, I'm not saying, by the way, in any of this, I'm not saying zonal approaches are bad. We've just seen City win the Carabao Cup using a very zonal approach. I'm not saying it's bad. The one thing I will say right now is it's a very risk-averse and very, very safe option in terms of protecting his players. Now, Arne Slot may be doing this because of the recruitment. He may be doing this because the players are not good enough. The problem is there's been no adaptation through this poor run of results in the Premier League, and they are getting cut through nearly every game because of this. So for me, he's not doing enough. So right now, show you the picture again. We can see that same build-up against the pressing diamond. Now what happens is Brighton simply clip the ball across the pitch to the left back, who's stood in acres of space. Minter wins the header against Frimpong after Frimpong drops back. So what happens? He pings it over here. Frimpong retreats like this. These all tuck back in like this. Left back pushes on. Minter wins the header on here. And because this player is not being marked via man, he gets the ball, runs up the pitch, it's Kadioglu, gets a shot right on the edge of the box. He runs about 30 yards, I'd say, maybe 40 yards with the ball onto the edge of Liverpool's box and shoots. And it's a really good save, again, by the Liverpool keeper. So that is just an indication as to me why I'm so frustrated with Liverpool's attempt at a high press. Now, I don't describe Liverpool as a pressing team anymore. I think they're a blocking team. I think they're a team that are blocking space to make it easier for the players, to protect the players, which I can really appreciate from Arne Slot. I can really appreciate it is what it is. Maybe he thinks the players are not good enough. But that is not a Liverpool thing to do, in my opinion. And I don't think that's going to, get you more time in the job. I don't think that's going to win the fans over. And I think there has been a turning point in the Liverpool fan base. And I want to explain why that has a larger ripple effect than people may realise. Because when it comes to Liverpool sitting in a deeper block, if you go and watch some of the goals that Liverpool have conceded, I'm not going to show you because there's that many of them. If you go and watch some of the goals that Liverpool conceded, even in this Brighton game with the cross, the amount of distance Liverpool are leaving between the person on the ball of the opposition team and the person who's supposed to mark him is ridiculous. It's inexcusable. And because of the passive approach out of possession when you're high pressing, for me, it seems to have a ripple effect when the team sits low. The zonal low block. I've got an example on here to show you from the Fulham game. So I'm just going to show you right now. This is a beautiful goal from Harry Wilson, beautiful goal from Fulham. Can see build up here with 3, 2, 5 across the last line. Now, want you to keep an eye on Ibrahim Konate's position, Harry Wilson's position, who are stood on the left-hand side of the pitch. Harry Wilson spins in behind. We can see on that picture, Dominic Szoboszlai is pointing to Ryan Gravenberch to follow his man through the pitch. He doesn't. The distance is too big. It's too big. Harry Wilson runs across the side of someone and he doesn't get tracked. The intensity's not there. Raul Jimenez drops deep for the ball. Look at the distance when he drops deep between the lines, between him and the next Liverpool player. It's huge. The gap is huge. I've heard people talk about playing Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp teams. I know it's not the same. They're right up against you. They don't let you turn. They don't let you pass. They're right up against you. They play high. That's not what happens here. Raul Jimenez gets a flick on the side of his boot, plays it in behind for Harry Wilson, and this is 1-0 Fulham in this game. The passive approach out of possession for me is too big to comprehend how much damage it's doing. Not only on the pitch tactically, but psychologically, I think it's having a ripple effect, could be wrong, on the players and their application in their block, in their ability on the ball. How often have we talked about Liverpool on this channel being dull in possession, passive? I think the way you set up has to have an overriding say. The Man City teams, Barcelona teams under Pep Guardiola, they set up in a calm manner. They win the ball back, they have long stints on the ball, they take the sting out of the game. But what Liverpool are now doing is lacklustre off the ball in terms of there's no intensity really behind the personnel and behind the instruction that's given to the players. And that is now having a ripple effect on everything that they're doing. Everything that they're doing, in my opinion. Passive off the ball, passive on the ball, passive in goalkeeper kicks, passive in open play build-up, passive against goalkeeper kicks. I think they're a very passive team. And that is where, for me, the bigger concerns come with this Liverpool team, because you are now moving a team that is not used to that in the stadium. Think of how easy Anfield has been to go to this season. And it's not the fans' fault or anything like that, but if a team is building up against you and you're at Anfield, I can't swear, but you're crapping yourself. You're bricking it because they're going to run you off the park. I watched Manchester United go to Anfield and play around. I've watched Forest do it. I've watched Burnley do it. I've got something to show you from Burnley. It really does annoy me, but I've got something to show you from Burnley here. Goalkeeper kick, Liverpool, 1-0, okay? Alisson's with the ball. He plays the ball into Szoboszlai. I'm going to stop it there. Look at how well Burnley, this is Burnley by the way, look at how well Burnley have man-marked the entire pitch. They have shielded the ball into the midfield of the pitch. And the only player left for the ball to play through to is Konate, who Liverpool fans would even say themselves is a weak link for Liverpool on the ball. Burnley have filtered it so Ibrahim Konate actually gets the ball back in this situation. Bounce pass off Wirtz, goes into Konate. He plays a really, really straight pass. And on this picture right now, you can see how Burnley have locked off one side. They've gone man-to-man across the pitch. He's playing a straight ball against the back of Jeremy Frimpong, who gets bounced off the ball. Burnley turn it over in the midfield, run through, beautiful bit of play, take advantage of that passive shape from Liverpool off the ball. Similar space ran through from Harry Wilson, the goal for Fulham, and it's 1-1 Marcus Edwards. These are rippling effects that are being had in the build-up, in the press, in the block. I've shown you everything here now. And that's why it's really worrying for me. And I'm not sure who the share of the blame goes to, but I think it's everyone all in together that are making this a really hard watch, a really tough watch for the fans. You know, Anfield, now you go down, you get the ball on the floor and you play, and the stadium's silent straight away, boom, gone. And for me, it's just really worrying. Because I think Anfield has always had that magic. It always has the magic. We saw it against Galatasaray, for example. But recently, it feels like that magic's going. And I think that magic's going because the intensity's not there from the players, the manager, and that's having a ripple effect on the crowd, the stadium, the team. And that's why, for me, I really struggle to see how it gets much better for Liverpool if something's not changed. And just one last little bit to throw up on your screen. I've got two more actually. I will throw this on into this Spurs game. I've got a picture here. Liverpool 1-0 up against Tottenham. This is the thumbnail of our video because this one really did get on me. Look at the diamond from Liverpool again. They've got the +1 against Richarlison in the defence. Look at Szoboszlai's position on the right-hand side. He's not touch tight with the left-back of Spurs. He's a little bit more reserved. Why? Because his job is to not only cover the left-back, but to also cover the inside midfielder, who's Xavi Simons. So if I show you on to the next one, Xavi Simons has got his hand in the air, his hand in the air. At the same exact moment, Vicario plays this ball into him. Look at the amount of space Simons has got. Look at it. At Anfield, at 1-0 up 72 minutes against one of the worst teams in the league. Look at how much space he's got. That is unheard of. He gets the ball, plays it through Szoboszlai, a little bit of a ricochet, good look and all that. They run the entire length of the pitch from where Simons gets the ball, or just on the edge of his own third, runs the entire length of the pitch, gives it to Tell, he cuts it on his right, and it's a great effort, which he's saved. When have you ever seen players get the ball in their own third and run through the pitch at Anfield? That's not Liverpool. I'm being serious when I say this. It's not good enough. You win fans over, yes, with wins, with titles, with trophies. You also win it over with style, with the connection with the crowd. Liverpool are not anywhere near what they were right now. And the last one to show you on your screen right now is a little bit of data to talk about Liverpool's idea on the ball when it comes. I'm not going to try and set up Liverpool in anything extravagant when they're on the ball because I've watched them quite a few times now on the ball, specifically watching it. I just think there's not really any structure to it. They're very fluid in the centre. They're very drop deep to get the ball. I've got numerous screenshots from the Wolves game they played where there's just no one occupying the back line and Wolves can push up against them. Ekitike is dropping a lot deeper for the ball. Gakpo's sometimes playing in weird positions. There's a lot of fluidity in the centre for Liverpool, and I think that's really good. I think PSG have shown they can do that in the Champions League where you can rotate. I don't think Liverpool have that quality though. And there's a lot of square pegs, round holes in the squad to play a structure on the ball. I completely understand that. But one thing that Liverpool do a lot is cross the ball. They cross the ball the third most in the Premier League this season. Newcastle, Forest are the only teams who cross the ball more than them. So you might think, well, maybe they're scoring a lot of headers. They've scored the joint least headers in the Prem with Wolves and Villa. So that ain't working. Despite the volume of crosses, they've got the fourth least headers. And I know what you may be saying. Maybe it's with the feet. They've got 5 cross-assisted goals. Wolves have got 3, Brighton 4, Bournemouth 4, Liverpool 5. So they've got the fourth least of that. So that's not working. Well, maybe they're crossing the ball, creating chances, but the finish is just out there. Well, the 10th for chances created from crosses, despite being third for the most crosses. So for me, it looks like aimless crossing. Look at the forward line. Is there any headers who can really head a ball there? It's not one of Ekitike's main strengths. It's not one of Gakpo's main strengths. I can't think of one. Maybe Van Dijk, but he's not in the box every cross, is he? So, it seems aimless to me. And when you go deep into the data and you look at what Liverpool are trying to do on the ball, it doesn't really suit them. They're crossing the ball a shed ton of times, and they're not even good at capitalising off the crosses. So why? It's really confusing to me. And yeah, I just think this is. I'm at a loss with Liverpool right now, because I think a lot of people are talking about whether or not they can get Xabi Alonso in, and they can talk about flipping the managers. And yeah, maybe so. I really liked Alonso's Leverkusen. It's one of the best teams I've watched in recent years. They were manic. Wirtz can play in that left 10 if he wants to play a 3-back. Jeremy Jacquet, who they've just signed, plays in a 3 in the middle. Maybe that can work. Yeah, I fully understand that. But I think there is problems deep within the squad, buried in there from the recruitment standpoint, that just don't make sense right now. And I think Arne Slot probably will pay for the issues that has been caused, but I don't think they're entirely his fault. But I do think tactically he's also not delivering. And the one thing I said online, again, if you don't follow me online, then please do. But one thing I said about Liverpool when I watched them, I tweeted this massive thing about them, and loads of Liverpool fans said they resonated really well with the last paragraph. And I said, if the team, loads of people were going, the team's not built to high press. The team's not built to high press like on the edge of the box. All right. Is it built for low block? No, it's not. Is it built for mid blocking? No. Is it built for transitional football? No. Is it a team that's going to break down low blocks high up the pitch? Well, no. Liverpool have the second most of the ball this year, and they can't break a low block. All right. So what's it good at? Because already I'm seeing it's not good enough at really anything. And I think I fully understand people going, they're discarding this year, like they're just going to go for it next year, they'll get another load of money in the summer and then they'll rebuild the squad and it'll look all right. These are defending champions in the best league in the world. These are defending. You can't discard seasons. Not being funny, you can't just discard a season and just go, we'll sort the squad out next summer. United do that every year. Look at how we ended up. United do that. Get the midfielder in the summer. No, we didn't. We get a bloody 2 strikers and a fullback. We do that all the time. You have to stay on the top. If you fall out of the Premier League, if you're just a little bit slow in the Premier League and you let 1 year go by, you will get past. And I'm not saying that will happen to Liverpool, because they've got unbelievable quality in the squad. Unbelievable quality. But I think it needs to change now if it's going to change in terms of where this club is already going, because I don't think it looks great at the moment. And I think really Liverpool, the boardroom potentially may have won with that Salah decision. And if they don't really rebuild the squad after he goes, and they appoint, maybe either keep or appoint the right manager, and they get the football back, I don't know where Liverpool turn. So, does seem like a bit of a crisis talk for Liverpool. It's not really, they're still in the Champions League and stuff, but it's really worrying. And I had to talk about it because I've been watching it for a few weeks, and they keep popping up with these wins here and there that make you think they're going to kick on, and they never kick on. It's limbo football. So, yeah. Sorry if it was a little bit more of a dramatic one, but I needed to get that off my chest in the international break where we've got a couple of weeks for everything to rest. But if you did like the piece, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And we've got something really, really special coming up for you in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that. And we'll see you next week on the Overlap Breakdown. Thank you.